Once upon a time, people differently imagined the reason of the absence of birds during the winter months. Swallows were hibernating silt at the bottom of the lake. Some people even claimed that the birds were transforming into other animals at that time. However, the truth is much more interesting. Every year in spring and autumn takes place probably one of the most spectacular and the largest natural performances on Earth. Billions of birds around the world take an unusual, exhausting and dangerous challenge. They start a migration. Many times reaching the limits of their endurance, they sometimes travel tens of thousands of kilometers in even the most adverse conditions, relying only on the strength of their muscles, weather, sense of orientation, and other evolutionary adaptations. We can only observe it from below, staring at the sky with delight. During their annual migrations, the birds move between places where they breed and those where they spend the winter. In the breeding grounds they create nests, their offspring come into the world, while wintering grounds, located in warmer climate zones, offer abundance of food, which is not present in such quantities during the winter in the northern latitudes. In the spring, however, they will return again, where it will be easier for them to find a place to create a nest and where the day will be longer. And there are greated white-fronted geese just in front of me. A beautiful flock. Among Polish birds we can distinguish sedentary species that remain in one area throughout the whole year, partial migrants among which some individuals migrate and some not, short-distance migrants flying to the west of Europe and to the Mediterranean Sea area, and long-distance migrants who fly to Africa or India. At this point, it is impossible not to mention the species which pass record-breaking long distances during its annual migrations, the Arctic tern. Every year it flies from the Arctic to Antarctica and back again, passing up to 90,000 kilometers. Due to the way in which the trail between breeding grounds and wintering grounds is passed, we are talking about birds flying an active flight, which must flap their wings all the time, and about those that glide using the thermal chimneys formed on their way. When they enter them, they rise to very high altitudes and then leave them and glide to the next chimney. Before starting a long, exhausting and dangerous journey, the birds must prepare for it properly. At the beginning of migration, they can reduce their internal organs, except those that are absolutely necessary for them during the journey, such as the heart, lungs, or muscles which move their wings. Such organs can even increase their size. Birds also do not reduce the size of their brain. Many of them undergo molting, which is exchanging feathers from new ones, but even more important is to accumulate fat stores, which will be for them high-energy fuel. Although the birds can increase their weight even 2 times at this time, gathering the right amount of fat stores is not easy, because fuel is an essential source of energy, but at the same time it increases the weight of the bird and the amount of energy needed to fly. The fat stores cannot be too big, but also not too low. In extreme situations, animals additionally burn up their own organs. Many birds that run out of energy during migration refill them during the stopover. Especially large birds of prey whose migration is closely related to the migration of their potential victims use this strategy. During flights, they use warm rising currents of air which occur only at the certain times of the day, which is why they rest and feed for the rest of the time. Many other birds during stopovers only drink and care for feathers, but they do not eat. However, there are also species that do not take any breaks and do non-stop during the journey. The tiny rabbit-throated hummingbirds do something that would seem impossible to reach by such a small bird, and they are flying a distance of 2,200 kilometers without a break. The record holder, which has been followed by scientists thanks to a special transmitter, is a female of a small, because it weighs maximum about 400 grams, bar-tailed godwit. In just over 8 days it flew 11,680 kilometers without stopping and resting. Birds travel day and night, and the highest intensity of flights occurs at night and morning hours. Traveling during cool nights requires less energy and protects them from overheating, while increased humidity prevents dehydration. At night, the threat from predators is much less than during the day. It turns out that they can even use water produced as a result of the breakdown of fats and proteins. Birds also cope with overheating and dehydration by flying on very high altitudes where, despite the heat on the Earth's surface, temperatures can drop to zero and even reach the sub-zero values. These animals can rise to a height of several kilometers, such as the bar-headed geese, which regularly fly over Mount Everest, but birds were seen even above 9,000 meters above sea level. Here are mainly mute swans. Hooper swans float behind me. Even these birds, swans, who belong to the heaviest flying birds, were seen at an altitude of 8,200 meters above sea level, and they can fly over 1,000 kilometers without a break. This is amazing. Standing on the ground, we can observe formations of birds moving in the sky, which may look like lines or the letters V. Traveling in this way, birds can save up to 20% of valuable energy. The bird that flies at the very head of the group gets the most tired, and that's why the animals change during the flight, so everyone can leave the leader position for some time and rest a bit on further positions. It may be surprising that the birds who fly in groups often communicate with each other, which is an additional energy expenditure. However, it turns out that such conversations help birds and probably motivate to effort what helps them achieve better results during the journey. Despite passing such huge distances, birds can reach exactly the same place on wintering grounds and breeding grounds with almost unimaginable precision. The same lake or the same bush. The main direction of migration is congenital, recorded in genes, but mainly young birds rely fully on such an internal voice. Adults rely more on their memory and experience. Many experiments have already proved that birds transported even thousands of kilometers from their home are able to immediately start their return journey and find the way easily. During their travels, they are guided by the position of the stars in the sky, which they must learn and remember, and the position of the sun, which means that they must know the 24-hour circadian rhythm. These animals also see the polarization of sunlight, and it's possible that they are able to orientate on their journey thanks to ambient infrasound, pressure, and even smells. It is well known that birds can orientate themselves in space based on the Earth's magnetic field, probably due to the presence of a special protein that is present in their eyes. In robins, scientists have even discovered which part of the brain's visual center is responsible for orientation based on a magnetic compass. Of course, the birds also remember the appearance of the places below them, creating a map of the entire road in their minds. Experience is very important to survive subsequent migrations. Travel is extremely dangerous for birds. They must overcome very low and very high temperatures, face hunger, thirst, exhaustion, find their way on cloudy days and during flights overseas with changing weather, or fly across the deserts and above the highest mountains. Unfortunately, they must also watch out for people who are equipped with traps and weapons and eagerly hunt birds during their migration. Every year, huge amounts of these amazing animals are killed around the world, and the environment is poisoned with lead. We have to add to this all wounded animals condemned to a slow death. It is said that even half of the birds who start the migration might not reach their destination. Those who survive may be under stress that is a result of breaking up the groups, families, couples, and which can have a huge impact on many aspects of their lives. To natural hazards and hunts, we should also add cars, which are dangerous for birds, noise barriers, glass buildings, power lines, and a constantly decreasing number of places where they can safely stop during the travel. We don't make their difficult life easier. Despite everything, the birds will start the migration again next year, causing excitement among everyone who wants to see them. The show will start, and the animals, who we pass by every day, will do the impossible again.